Brad, a lot of pretty big games this week. I'll start with Oregon State and Washington. I've said it, and I've been wrong. Washington's kind of been begging to lose here. Now they're a dog going on the road to Corvallis. This number now 2.5. What do your numbers have on Oregon State and Washington? Because as we know, Corvallis has kind of been a house of horrors for pretty highly ranked teams.
Yeah, my numbers aren't here yet, but as far as, saying Oregon State should be laying 2.5, but I do think they're the right side. I did not bet this game, but obviously Washington, very fortunate to be 10-0, multiple close wins for them so far this season. Oregon State, much better team at home than they are away from home. Oregon State wins and probably covers, although I haven't gotten to the window yet.
All right, I wanted to go ugly here first, Brad. Okay. It might be ugly. I don't know. You tell me. So I watched Louisville need that fourth quarter against Virginia. I watched them on a neutral against Georgia Tech at the beginning of the year, failed to put away Indiana. Am I really confident that they should be favored on the road against Miami? I get the quarterback situation. I get it's Van Dyke, but he's played a lot of football. I'm very tempted by the Hurricanes here.
Have you watched Miami? I know you watched Louisville. Have you watched Miami play this year?
I watched them cover for me last weekend.
Yeah, then
they did cover.
But the quarterback that got the cover broke his arm.
Hey, Van Dyke played.
They're talented. They got a lot of young talent there, but how healthy is Tyler Van Dyke? Coaching edge, massive edge to Louisville here in Brom over Cristobal. It's a game I didn't bet though. My numbers pretty much have it right to pick them. If you want to have at it on the Hurricanes at home, obviously they've been much better at home already. Their two best performances of the season, beating A&M, beating Clemson. Sure, why not? I would guess that they're the sharper side.
Sure, why not? I'll take it. By the way, I will say on the closing line show on Sunday, Tim, it did flash to 3 briefly and it came back down. So there at least are some crazy people with me that thought, 3's a little much.
I haven't bet it. Was it on my list? I don't know. I didn't have. I got a really long list this week.
How could it not be?
That I would. Brad, when you handicap just kind of big picture this time of year, a lot of teams vying for bowl eligibility. You look at the schedule, they need this one to get the bowl eligibility. Do you put that into your handicap for this weekend and next, whether a team is, a first-year coach or a second-year coach trying to get the bowl eligibility as a slight edge one way or the other?
Yeah, it's a good question. Case-by-case basis, depends on the team. You mentioned maybe a factor of first-year coach rebuilding. Like it might be important for South Florida to put a good effort. They're sitting at 5 wins. The next couple of games, that's just an example of a team. I think some teams could care less, to be honest with you. So case-by-case basis. Your guess is as good as mine. Because I'll tell you what I am looking for this time of year is quit. Yeah, the Q word. And there were some performances last week that I'm going to see if they get replicated this week because teams might be packing up the season already.
Any teams that you think are? Mike Palm was in here last week, and he joked with me that I was mentioning teams on Quit Watch. Any teams that caught your eye that are worth monitoring for potential Quit Watch, Brad?
Arkansas would be one. I don't know if you want to be laying that kind of number with a team that was totally uninspired last week, although FIU's terrible, so it might not matter. That would be a team. UCLA. That was a pathetic performance against Arizona State. Now word is that Chip Kelly might get fired. I know they're playing their rival USC, but that was horrific against Arizona State. Arizona State had half a team with a first-year coach, and that was the effort that they had at home. So that's a couple teams there.
What about Florida?
Yeah, I think I just got done watching the Missouri-Tennessee game. Holy cow, Missouri.
Smokes.
Super impressive.
Yep.
Florida doesn't bring it. There could be another blowout. And the recruiting class is falling apart. So, Florida would be another team. There's so many of them.
Yeah, no, that is kind of interesting to point out. I think this is a game that we've seen the market move, and I believe you're on the side of the market moving because initially I had circled Northwestern as a potential spot, knowing that really they need this win to get to stunning bowl eligibility, but the market's moving against them here. I believe you're on that side as well. Northwestern, Purdue now out to 3. What do you see with Purdue Northwestern?
Well, I wouldn't lay the 3 now with Purdue. That was closer to where my numbers were. I like Purdue with that plus sign next to them where it was 24 hours ago.
Right.
Prior to the old service being a part of that movement on Purdue. What am I seeing? I've kind of been impressed in certain spots for Purdue. It started with the Michigan game. I was impressed defensively, more than held up their own at the line of scrimmage. And last week, their offense came together. I just, they're a team that can score a little bit, unlike the teams that Northwestern's beat in recent weeks, including Wisconsin. So, I see your handicap there. That's why Northwestern, I think, was favored just a day ago. But I just think Purdue's far and away the better team.
UNLV is a machine. They keep covering. Yeah. They're 9-1 against the spread, but it's a field goal now on the road against Air Force. Is this the time that they fall short?
It depends on Air Force's quarterback health situation. They need Larrier to be healthy. If he's not, I could see UNLV going in there and winning. Air Force got to clean up the turnovers. Minus 10 turnovers the last 2 weeks. My numbers are screaming Air Force, but I don't say that with a lot of confidence.
We're talking to Brad Powers. You can follow him on social media at BradPowers7, Bet the Board Podcast. Before we get to your favorite play, this was a game that intrigued me. I've had a hard read on Memphis this year. Their last 3 games have been high scoring, and now they're catching 7.5, 8 at home against SMU. SMU, by the way, for those who are unaware, there's 3 teams undefeated right now in the American Athletic Conference, SMU, UTSA, and Tulane. But if Memphis wins this game, Brad, they're in the driver's seat to get the number 2 seed if Tulane runs the table. So a lot is on the line in this game. Is Memphis capable of being competitive against the Mustangs?
Competitive. I did bet SMU here. This just, to me, screams 10 years ago that this line's like 5.5, 6 where we opened, and it sits there and you can get it, later in the week. But guys like myself jump early and bet SMU because we think Memphis is a fraud, and they are. SMU's a legitimate top 25 caliber team, even in a Vegas power rating. So I don't think it's cheap. I think you're paying it's a little pricey, but I would only look towards the SMU side here.
All right, Brad, before we waste any more time, right now as the board is situated, what is the game that is jumping out to you?
Well, I just think it's a team that's going to win outright as the underdog. It's Utah State +3. We're just going to go to the Mountain West. And here's the thing. Obviously, Boise State fired their coach. They're kind of punting on the season when they still have Mountain West implications and aspirations. Wide receivers are out for them. Their leading wide receiver quit the team last week. Quarterback's not healthy. He's not going to play the passing quarterback. And I'll go back to last year. If any team in any game has deserved some good fortune, it's Utah State against Boise State after the debacle of a year ago. Yes, I have not forgotten about that and won't for the rest of my life.
That was one of the grossest beats ever. That was brutal. There were hooks out there as of yesterday on Utah State.
Hey, Brad, real quick before you go, I know we've talked a lot about Colorado burning you here, but you can't get inside the back door. Well, it's harder at 4.5. What do you make of this spot against Washington State?
I lean Colorado for a change, so that's probably means, because I haven't had a good read on Colorado football games all year, that probably means take Washington State, but I'm going to lean with the Buffs. I was impressed with their performance last week. I thought they'd get rocked, and they didn't.
All right, one final one for me. Stanford, Cal, the old band is on the field game. Stanford catching 7. Cal, nice win last week against Washington State. Stanford got just destroyed by Oregon State. Can the Cardinal be feisty at home here on the farm?
Yeah, I think so, although I bet Cal. I got to say this is my most important game of the week as far as win total. A lot of exposure on Stanford under 3.5. I can't believe they can possibly get there. I have a lot of exposure on Cal over 4.5 and under 5.5. Most important game of the week for me from a win total aspect, but I lean Cal at least at anything less than 7.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.